Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to your communication skills class again. I'm your course tutor Anila Noshin with another exciting episode of writing skills. Today we are going to thoroughly discuss essay writing skills, and I hope that you are going to enjoy it a lot since you are writing essays since your early childhood, and you know that how essay look like and what kind of the format essays have. Without wasting time, let's quickly recap that what we have done in our previous lecture, and then we would move on to our today's lecture, that is about the essay writing. So as you can very well see on the slide, the last lecture was about the paragraph writing. So in the last lecture we have thoroughly discussed that what is a paragraph. And we thoroughly discussed that paragraph is basically the group of sentences which are based on one main idea. Now this is how you define one paragraph as. So paragraph basically is the combination of, or is the group of different sentences which talk about one particular topic or one particular main idea. So it revolves around one major idea and one major point around which you rotate your thoughts on. So paragraph, in other words, is a group of sentences about one idea. We also discussed the paragraph structure. As you know that paragraph is also known as, or we also discussed in the last class that paragraph is also known as a 5-sentence paragraph. So we discussed, and let's now recap it again by jotting down 5 bullets for it. The first sentence of the paragraph is the topic sentence. As we discussed thoroughly that your topic sentence is basically, indicates the main idea or one main idea in one line. So topic sentence, the first line of any paragraph is known as your topic sentence, which would introduce to the reader about the main topic of the paragraph, and in one paragraph it is the rule that only one idea is being presented. The second sentence, third sentence and the fourth sentence are basically your supporting details. Now in the second sentence you have your supporting details, in the third sentence you have your supporting details, and in the fourth sentence you have your supporting details. So this is how you write down your paragraph as. Now these supporting details are basically based on the evidences. It is also based on the examples. It is based on the convincing points. It is based on the facts. Your supporting details basically try to provide the evidence for the topic sentence. They try to provide examples for the topic sentence. They try to provide the convincing points for the topic sentence. And they try to provide the facts for the topic sentence. Last but not the least, you have your closing sentence, which basically wraps up your whole thought. It wraps up, or it sums up the whole conversation that has been debated down or that has been said in your topic sentence. So it basically tries to wrap up your main or your topic sentence of the paragraph. We also discussed that how you can write down the well organized paragraph. For the organization, we discussed the 4 different ways. First of all, we discussed brainstorming. For the brainstorming, we have taken an example of the daily routine or how to brainstorm for making down or writing down in words and phrases about your daily routine. Then we also talked about making lists. For making lists, we have categorized them into different categories, and we have made lists accordingly. For making clusters, the third way of organizing your paragraph is making clusters, for which we have practiced it thoroughly. And the fourth one is asking questions, for which we have also discussed it how by asking questions you can make your paragraph information complete. Since that's all about description or describing or explaining or evaluating and then providing the evidences for your main idea, In other words, it's kind of a exercise where you need more details, or where you need sufficient details to complete the thought that is being presented in the beginning. We also came across some of the examples of paragraph writing, and I hope that you must have learned a lot from the previous lecture. And later on, once you were done with your paragraph writing, you must have tried writing a paragraph on your own at your home. So without wasting time, now let's quickly discuss that. Our main concern of today's topic is essay writing. Today we will see that how to write down one good essay, and we will also come across some of the different kinds of essays, some of different types of essays that you would see in today's lecture. We would see that what exactly is an essay, and how you are supposed to write down an essay, and how basically essays are similar yet different from the paragraph writing. So first of all, let's quickly see that what is an essay. An essay is an organized collection of your thoughts on a particular topic. Now, as the paragraph was, now paragraph is essay is similar to a paragraph because this is also an organized collection of your thoughts on a particular topic. Now, this particular topic and this organized collection of thoughts make your essay look somewhat like a paragraph. Now, if you say that all the paragraphs are related to the same main topic, maybe in the last lecture we had been talking about the Egyptian gods and Egyptian religion. Maybe the topic of your essay is Egyptian religion, and then you talk about the Egyptian gods, and then you talk about Egyptian religions, and then you keep on elaborating each god of them and their role. That would automatically convey back to your main idea, that is the topic sentence of your essay. So if all the paragraphs are written in that way, and they have this paragraph unity with the help of transitions, you can create one good essay. So in other words, we can say, but thoughts are supposed to be organized. They are supposed to be organized like the things which need priority should occur first, and which the things that you feel can be elaborated later on can come later. So this organization is really important once you are writing down an essay. However, all thoughts, once they are referring back to, or once they are going back to the main idea of your topic sentence, that would automatically make your whole paragraph, or your the set of different paragraphs written in a very organized way, kind of an essay. So in other words, we can say so many paragraphs written about the same topic presented in an organized way can be your essay. But your essay contains three major parts. Like your paragraph, it also carries three major parts. That is the topic sentence, that is the main body which carries the supporting details, and then you have your closing sentence, that is the conclusion. Same goes with your paragraph. You have your introduction. You have your introduction paragraph, which clearly introduces the topic of the essay, that what this essay is going to be all about. You have your main body, which is basically providing you the supporting details of the main topic that is being presented in your introduction, and then you have your conclusion, which will basically wrap up and which would basically sum up the ideas in one whole paragraph about whatsoever you had been talking about the main body and in the introduction portion. Now moving on to the next slide, and let's quickly recap that what is the writing process that is involved in writing any kind of the material that you want to talk about. The first step is known as pre-writing stage. As you know that pre-writing stage has something to do with brainstorming your ideas. Now for the pre-writing, you are supposed to sometimes free write. Now free writing is kind of the ideas which are coming into your mind, and mostly they are not organized ideas, or which are not organized thoughts. Sometimes note keeping, the ideas are coming in your mind and you are keeping notes simultaneously. Brainstorming, now you are looking for the ideas and you are brainstorming and unearthing the ideas from your brain. Sometimes mind mapping, clustering, and so many other techniques can be used in pre-writing stage. Then you have your writing stage, which basically is the combination of three major steps. The first one is making drafts, which basically has something to do with organizing your material that you have gathered during your pre-writing stage. Then you have your editing, in which you edit your material for checking out the loopholes, checking for the grammar, checking for the punctuation, checking for the wrong spellings, and then revising your document for checking on the run-ons on the sentences. Your rewriting has something to do with finishing, where you sometimes type your work, or sometimes you give your work in the form of the handwritten material for which you would be getting good marks for. So this is the writing process. A quick recap to the writing process that we had been doing in the previous classes as well. So what is an essay? As we have discussed it, essay is the organized collection of your thoughts, particularly based on one major topic. Essays can either be long or short. Now, the length of the paragraph can vary from topic to topic. Length of the essay can vary from topic to topic. They can be really very lengthy to read, and they can be really very short to read. But the main idea behind it is no matter how lengthy they are, no matter how short they are, the thoughts are communicated in the whole essay in such a way that the reader understands the whole topic as a whole. Then the essays can be serious and they can be humorous. Now they can talk about the serious topics, they can talk about the humorous topics. Then essays can be formal and essays can be informal. Essays can be written about the very formal materials for which you would also see the examples for. Essays can be written for about the very informal material for which we would also come across some of the examples. Essays can also describe your opinions or be a synopsis of expert opinions. So essays can be the combination of the things that we would come across in today's lecture. Now, writers basically write essay to describe or define a subject. Now, there are kinds of the essays which are basically definition essays, or which are basically descriptive essays. Like, for example, the example is that what is an essay? So, if you are heading to write down an essay on that what is an essay, you would keep on explaining it, you would keep on describing it, and then you would help yourself define on an essay on your own. Compare related items in a subject. So first category that we have discussed is descriptive essay and the definition essay. Compare related items in a subject. So there is, and the next category is known as the comparison essay. The difference between apples and oranges. So a comparison basically would tell you about the differences of two things. So for example, if you are writing an essay on a topic which would tell the differences between apples and oranges, so that would become your comparison essay. Show cause and effect. So in any essay, if you are showing the cause of something and then you are telling about the effects of something, like for example, you have this example, if you write it, they will read. So the cause is writing and the effect is reading. Write a narrative. Now, narrative essay is a kind of essay which would tell a narrative or a story, like for example, my summer vacation. So this will become a kind of more personalized essay where you would narrate a story for the reader. Explain a process. So this is a process essay where you would tell a process of writing down something or a process of doing something. Like for example, the example is that how to write down an essay. So for writing down how to write down an essay, you would tell thoroughly the steps that are involved in writing down an essay. Then deliver an argument. So this kind of essay can be known as the argumentative essay. The case against essay questions, like for example, you are arguing about essay questions, that essay questions should be either be included in any essay or not. There is a critique essay. That my least favorite movie is a critique on writing down any essay that is of your interest. Now let's see that how to write down an essay. We would come across some of the steps which you are supposed to follow to write down one good essay. So let's quickly see that how to write down one essay. It says that an essay can have many purposes, but the basic structure is the same no matter what. So the basic structure that we have discussed, that carries introduction and that also talks about the main body and then the conclusion, it would remain the same no matter what you are talking about. Whether that's going to be a long essay, whether that's going to be a short essay, serious or humorous, compare or contrast essay, cause or effect essay, critique essay, argumentative essay, or any other essay type that you are writing about. For example, you may be writing an essay to argue for a particular point of view or to explain the steps necessary to complete a task. Either way, your essay will have the same basic format that we have just discussed, that talks about the introduction, the main body, and the conclusion. If you follow a few steps, you will find that essay almost writes itself. You will be responsible only for supplying ideas, which are the important part of essay anyway. So you would be responsible for supplying those important details about the introduction topic, about the main topic about which the whole essay is being written. Don't let the thought of putting pen to paper daunt you. Get started. So don't think that this is going to be a rocket science that you are going to write about. This is simply an essay that you are supposed to write down. Essay writing is not a very difficult job to do, or it's not a very difficult thing to do. All that you have to do is to stick to some steps to write down a good essay. Now, to do so, first of all, there are simple steps which will guide you through the essay writing process. First of all, decide on your topic of your essay. First of all, you are supposed to decide that what topic you are going to write down and what topic you are going to write about for your essay. Prepare an outline or a diagram of your ideas. Now, this outlining or scratching an outline is something that would help you make one good essay. We would also discuss in today's lecture that how to scratch one outline for your essay. Write your thesis statement. Now, this thesis statement or this problem statement is really very important. You are basically trying to explain the problem in the form of a statement that you are going to answer and help your reader understand that what exactly you are talking about. So your essay would be focused on this problem statement, and automatically all your ideas would be related to and connected to the main thought. Then write the body. For the body, write down different paragraphs, the main body which would keep on supporting or which would keep on finding the solutions for the problem. Write the main points. For writing down the body, for example, if you are scratching an outline, this is your main body, this is your point number 1, like this is the solution to your problem, and then you write down 3 supporting details for this very problem, and then you write down the closing sentence. So these are your main points. This is your paragraph number 1, this is your paragraph number 2, where you would write down the main points. Main points which are basically related to your problem statement. Then main points would be followed by the sub points, which basically kind of elaborate what is being written in the main point. So for every new main point, you would have at least 3 sub points that support your main point. So these main points and these sub points are basically going to be kind of the paragraphs which are related to or which are trying to solve the problem, or which are basically related to the thesis statement that you have presented in your introduction paragraph. Elaborate on the sub points. Now this is the kind of the elaboration that you are doing. Now, in the end, write down the introduction and then write down the conclusion. So you haven't had written down the introduction first. Now that you have written all the main points, in the end you would write down the introduction and then you would write down the conclusion. And in the end, you would write down everything by following the proper format on the piece of paper. So your main focus is going to be that you first of all select your thesis statement. To do so, pick up a piece of paper where you are going to write down your thesis statement on the top. Your next step would be that you are going to scratch an outline, and you would scratch an outline in a way that I have made it for you on this very slide as well. We would see in the upcoming slides that how to scratch an outline for your whole essay. We would try to make that in today's class as well. For every new main point that you have given, you are supposed to provide the supporting details for every sub point, the supporting sub points that you are providing for the main point. In the end, write down the introduction paragraph and then write down the conclusion paragraph, and then your essay would be complete. Last but not the least, you are supposed to add the finishing touches to your whole piece of material that you have written. Now, for choosing a topic, you may have no choice as to your topic. If this is the case, you still may not be ready to jump on to the next step. Think about the type of the paper you are expected to produce. Should it be general overview or a specific analysis? So if you are being given a topic, or if you are not being given a topic, try to see that what category and what and how exactly you would produce your paper. It's going to be a general overview kind of a thing, or it's going to be a specific analysis kind of a thing. thing. If it should be an overview, then you are probably ready to move to the next step. So if you are going to give the general overview, of course you have your ideas with you as well. If it's going to be a specific analysis, make sure your topic is fairly specific. That's not kind of vague, that is focused. If it is too general, you must choose a narrower subtopic to discuss. So try to make your topic narrower and try to bring it to a focus from where you can stop writing. For example, the topic Kenya is too general. Now this is a kind of a very general topic, and you can give the general overview about Kenya as well. If your objective is to write an overview, this topic is suitable. But if your objective is to write a specific analysis, this topic will be too general. You must narrow it to something like politics in Kenya. So you are particularly or specifically moving to the specific analysis of politics in Kenya. However, your general overview can complete if you particularly talk about Kenya as a whole. Or Kenya's culture can also be another example of the specific analysis. Once you have determined that your topic will be suitable, you can move on. So selecting a topic will be your choice. If you are being given a topic, try to see that you supposed to narrow it down to make it the specific analysis, or you are supposed to give the general overview of what you are going to write about. So this is how you can choose a topic, and this is how you can select a topic for your whole conversation. Now that you are organizing your ideas, now see that this is a cluster that we have made, an example of a cluster that we have made for organizing your ideas, and there are 3 or other ways that you can use for organizing your ideas. The first one is brainstorming, the second one is clustering, the third one is outlining, and the fourth one is questioning, or the third one is these lists that you make. Now here is an example for you, like dogs are basically breeds. There are issues about their health, nutrition. You can also talk about their behavior, and you can also talk about their grooming. Now for writing your outline, begin your outline by writing your topic at the top of your page. Now your topic would occur at the top of your page. Then write the Roman numerals 1, 2 and 3 on the left side of the page. That one we would discuss in the upcoming slides as well, that how you are supposed to write down 1, 2 and 3. Next to each Roman numeral, write the main ideas that you have about the topic or the main points that you want to make. Now that if this is your page, now that we have a very small space on this slide, you are supposed to write down your topic here. You would write down 3 Roman numerals 1, 2 and 3. For each Roman numeral, you would write down your main points. Now if you are trying to persuade, you want to write your best arguments. If you are trying to explain process, you want to write the steps that should be followed. If you are trying to inform, you want to write the major categories into which your information can be divided. Under each Roman numeral, write ABC. Now for each Roman numeral, let's enlarge it over here, like this is your Roman numeral number 1, and here you have written your main point. For each Roman numeral, write down point A, B, C, which are the sub bullets of the main bullet that is being written here to the left side of the page. Next to each letter, write the facts of information. Now each alphabet A, B and C would talk about the facts which are related to the main point. Whether you are talking about the whether you are trying to persuade someone, or you are trying to explain the process of something, or you are trying to provide the information. When you have finished it, you have the basic structure for your essay and you are ready to continue. So this is how you can write down an outline, and this is how you can scratch an outline. That one we would also practice in today's class. Then composing a thesis statement. As I said earlier, that you are supposed to compose one strong thesis statement that would help you see that how you can relate your ideas strongly to one major idea. The thesis statement tells the reader what the essay will be about. So thesis statement would clearly indicate and would clearly point out the problem that you are going to talk about in the whole essay, and what point you the author will be making. So as author, what point you will be making in the whole essay that is upcoming. You know what the essay will be about, so you know that what your essay is going to be all about. That was your topic, the main topic of your essay. Now you must look at your outline or diagram and decide what point you will be making. Now you must look at the outline or the diagram that you have made, and you must decide that what you will be making. What do the main ideas and supporting ideas that you listed say about the main topic? So what do the main ideas and the supporting ideas that you have written in the form of the bullets say about the main idea that you have indicated in your thesis statement? So this is how you are going to write down and make one good thesis statement on your own. Next step would be writing the body paragraphs. For writing down the body paragraphs, the topic you have chosen must now be explained, described, or argued thoroughly. So to do so, each main idea that you wrote down in your diagram or outline will become one of the main body paragraphs. As I said, that each main idea that you are presenting, that is being supported with A, B, and C, which are the sub points of the main idea, would become one paragraph of the whole essay. So as many ideas that you would write down on the piece of paper would automatically become or develop or will be developed into the form of paragraphs. Whether you have 3 main ideas, whether you have 4 or 5, all of them, they would become your body paragraphs. Each body paragraph will have the same basic structure of writing a paragraph. So this is what I am referring back to, that how you are supposed to write down the body paragraphs. For writing down a paragraph, I am sure that you had been really alert in the last lecture where we have thoroughly discussed that how to write down one good paragraph. If you had been able to write down a good paragraph, only then you can write down a good essay on your own. In the end, you are supposed to write down the introduction and the conclusion. Your essay lacks only 2 paragraphs now that you are done with all the main body paragraphs, which are basically referring to your thesis statement. Now write down your introduction sentence, introduction paragraph, and your conclusion paragraph. The introduction, these paragraphs will give the reader a point of entry to and a point of exit from your essay. So your introduction paragraph is an entry into the essay, and your conclusion paragraph is a point of an exit to your essay. Now that you are entering into the essay, so this is your introduction, that is to be followed by the main body parts, which would explain thoroughly that what your topic is all about, and then this exit is going to be your conclusion, where the author would, or where the reader would automatically understand that here the point of the author finishes. Don't stop just yet. One more step remains before your essay is truly finished, and this is your conclusion. The conclusion brings closure to the reader, summing up your points to providing a final perspective on your topic. So this will automatically provide the final perspective onto your topic. All the conclusion needs is 3 or 4 strong sentences which do not need to follow any set of formula. Now they are not going to be a really tricky one. Only those the set of those strong sentences, maybe 3 or 4, which would clearly indicate that the essay has been ended. Simply review the main points, being careful not to restate them exactly or briefly describe your feelings about the topic. Even an anecdote can end your essay in a useful way. So you can use any anecdote that can, help yourself and your essay very beautifully. The introduction and conclusion complete the paragraph of your essay, and now your essay is really very complete for the display or to be displayed in front of the audiences. In the end, at the finishing touches, you have now completed all the paragraphs of your essay. Before you can consider this a finished product, however, you must give some thought to formatting of your paper. Check the order of your paragraphs, check the instructions of the assignments, and check your writing. You must write it neatly. You must note down the instructions of the assignment that you had been given to write down an essay, and then check the order of the paragraphs, that the thoughts are being communicated clearly. Once you have checked your work and perfected your formatting, your essay is finished. Congratulations, you are done with writing down your essay, and I hope that these steps are not really very hard to follow, and if you follow these steps, you can write down a really good essay for yourself. Now let's discuss different types of essays. You may pick up any of the essay type, and then you can make, or you can write down an essay right after the class. You might be given an assignment to write down an essay on. So to do so, you are supposed to listen to each essay type and to elaborate them one by one, and to see that how one essay type is different from the other, and what are the things that you are supposed to remember for writing down any essay types. Now there are many many different kinds of the essay, and the following, some of the following are here, which are the very common ones. The descriptive essay, which would kind of, describe something. And the definition essay, which would help to define something, whether you are taking support of the definitions being introduced for the thing already, or you create your own definition on your own. Compare and contrast essay, which would compare, which would try to find out the similarities and differences between two things. Cause and effect essay, you would try to find out the reasons and effects of the things that has happened. A narrative essay, which would tell a story. Argumentative essay, which would kind of try to provide the argument for something. Critical essay, that would look for the positive and negative aspects of any, basically critical essays are written for critically evaluating any piece of literature. Evaluation essay, that would clearly evaluate something. Analysis essay, reflective essay, and expository essay, all of these essays will be defined in the upcoming slides with the help of examples. The first kind of essay is known as descriptive essay. A descriptive essay basically provides details about how something looks, feels, tastes, smells, makes one feel, or sounds. So basically, descriptive essay would provide the details about how something looks like, about how someone feels, about how something tastes, about how something smells, and how you can make one feel. It can also describe what something is and how something has happened. So it can also describe what something is and how something has happened. These essays generally use a lot of sensory details. So all of the sensations are involved in describing something. Since you are describing something, you look at the minute details of everything to be presented in front of the audiences. The essay should be a list-like description that provides point-to-point details. So if you are describing this pen, you would tell from point to point and from the minutest detail that the tip looks like this, and then the bulging part looks like this, then it has a silver portion over here, and then it has the buttons, and then it looks like a very slanted and ovule, a very long ovule shape kind of a pen. So you would keep on describing this pen from every aspect, black in color, silver touches, and all that. So all the minute details of the pen would be elaborated and would be given to the reader to understand how and what this pen looks like. So what something is and how something happened would be thoroughly explained in any descriptive essay. There are some examples of the descriptive essay being written here. Like, for example, a descriptive essay can explain a tree in my backyard. Now, there is a tree in my backyard that I am trying to describe to my audiences or to my reader. Now, I would try to describe that tree from every perspective that I know of for the convenience of my reader, so that they get to know that what kind of the thing that I am describing that is there in my backyard. Sometimes there is another example, a visit to the children's ward of the hospital. So you are basically trying to describe your visit to children's hospital, where you would keep on describing each and every thing that you must have seen there, starting from the beds of those children, walls, windows, kind of the nurses who were taking care of them, the kind of the food they eat. Every minutest detail would be added in your descriptive essay as to make it interesting, as well as that would involve all your senses and that help to evoke the senses of the reader also. Now let's move on to the next essay type, that is definition essay. A definition essay attempts to define a specific term. Now definition essay would basically try to attempt to define a particular term. It could try to pin down the meaning of the specific word or define an abstract concept. So it can be an abstract concept, it can be pinning down the specific word. So basically it is trying to help define a specific term. It can be any abstract idea, or it can be any term that you are trying to explain. A definition essay may try and define the meaning of an abstract concept like love. Now, in the definition essay, you would try to define what love is. The true meaning and importance of honesty. Now, this is another abstract idea. that can be defined. Now you would look for the true meaning and importance of honesty for everyone, and how the meaning of family goes deeper than just your blood relatives. Family is another idea or another specific term that you would help yourself define in the definition essay. So this is how definition essay would particularly focus on a specific term or a specific topic that you are trying to help yourself elaborate and describe and define in the whole essay composition. The next essay type is compare and contrast essay, which basically discusses the similarities and differences between the things, people, concepts and places. The comparison essay usually discusses the similarities between the two things. So comparison, once you are doing the comparison, it would thoroughly discuss the similarities. However, once you are doing this contrast, it would thoroughly discuss the differences. Examples of the comparison and contrast essay are the likeness and differences between two places. You can pick up two places like New York City and Los Angeles, and you can try to find out the similarities as well as differences between these two cities. Then the similarities and differences between the two religions like Christianity and Islam. You would try to see that how these two religions are similar to each other and how these two religions can be different from each other, and this is what your main focus of essay would be, of defining of comparing and contrasting these two religions. Two people like my brother and myself, two fruits like apple and oranges. So you would try to compare and contrast two things. Once you are doing the comparison, you are looking for the similarities between two things, like how this finger is similar to this finger. Once you are looking for the contrast, you would see that how this finger is different from this finger. So this is how you are basically trying to do that. So this is how you develop your compare and contrast essay, and you have seen some of the examples of it also. The next essay type is cause and effect essay. And for cause and effect essay explains that why or how something has happened. Now this why and how are really important in your cause and effect essay, and what resulted from the event. So why and how it happened, so you are looking for the causes, and what happened afterwards and what resulted from that event is what you call the effect of that very essay. So cause is why and how, and the effect is that what resulted afterwards. A cause essay usually discusses the reasons why something happened and how it happened, and an effect essay discusses that what happens after a specific event or a circumstances. Like for example, why a volcano erupts and what happens afterwards. So if you are really talking about any earthquake, or if you are talking about any accident, first of all you would talk about the cause, that what are the causes of this volcanic eruption. And then you talk about that what exactly happens once the volcano has erupted and there is an earthquake, and what exactly happens after the earthquake has happened. So if you take the one example of 8th March earthquake in Islamabad, that is 8th October earthquake in Islamabad, you would see and you would try to find out the causes for that first of all, and then you would write about the effects, that what has happened afterwards. So for writing down the causes, you would say that the cause can be the volcanic eruption. The cause can be as Muslims we believe that if we keep on not following the sayings of Allah, of course these kind of misfortunes would happen on us. So it can be another reason. We can also talk about the myths being presented by different religions also. So these kind of causes can be discussed, that why and how something happens. And then we also can talk about the effects, that what exactly happened after the earthquake. We can talk about in other areas. We can talk about the Islamabad Margla towers and so on and so forth. So all the disaster that has happened after that very earthquake can be discussed in the cause and effect essay. There can be other examples also of cause and effect essay, like any accident, like any incident that has happened. Maybe you have scored good marks and you are writing about the cause and effect essay. So if you are studying hard, of course you would get good marks. So cause is that you are studying, and the effect is that you are getting good marks. So for every reason, for every action, there is a reaction. So this in other words means that for writing down any cause and effect essay, you must see the action first, and then you must talk about the reaction. The next essay type is narrative essay. The narrative essay tells a story basically. It can also be called a short story. It is basically conversational in style, and it tells of the personal experience. Since it is conversational in style and it is telling about the personal experience, so you are supposed to make it in mind, and you are supposed to take it in mind that it is going to be the personal experience, and it will be written in the I or the first person expression. Examples of the narrative essay could tell of my brother and my fishing trips. Now this my, the mention of my, and this mention of we, and this mention of me, I would be there in any narrative essay that you are writing. A boring trip to a grocery store. Now you had been to a grocery store to purchase the monthly grocery, and that was really a very boring trip because you did not find anything interesting there. So you can write about your narrative experience of going to the grocery store again. My near-death experience at the beach. So your experience of near-death experience at the beach can also be one of the narrative example, and that can also be written down in the form of a narrative essay. So narrative essay basically would tell any story that you want to write about. Remember that this is going to be conversational in style, as if you are conversating with someone, as well as that is going to be talk about the personal experiences. So it would carry the first person singular or plural. The next essay type is argumentative essay. Argumentative essay is the one that attempts to persuade the reader to writer's point of view. So it is basically, it basically attempts to persuade the reader to writer's point of view. Now the writer is writing to persuade, to help himself persuade the reader and to bring him into the situation that how the writer thinks is right, and the reader should be convinced. The writer can either be serious or funny. Now there are ways of writing down any argumentative essay. You can either take this style of being serious and then funny, but always your main focus is to convince the reader of the validity of your opinion. So if you are writing down any argumentative essay, you would make sure that whether you are going to be serious or you are going to be funny, you would keep in mind that you are going to convince your reader to your point of view. Now examples of the argumentative essay are that he or she should use public transport instead of driving. Now for providing the argumentation for why do you or why should you use public transportation instead of driving on your own, you should come up with the solid reasons and solid arguments that help the reader convince to the points that why one must use these public transportation instead of driving on your own. The next topic is that cats are better than dogs. So how are cats better than dogs? So you would come up with these strong arguments to make cats better than dogs, so that the reader is also the reader also gets persuaded or convinced with the ideas that you are presenting on the paper. So this is how the argumentative essay looks like. Like you are as an author or as a writer of the essay, you are trying to convince a reader to your point of view. The next essay type is critical essay. A critical essay basically analyzes the strengths, the weaknesses and the methods of someone else's work. So basically it is looking for the positive and negative aspects of the piece of writing that has been produced by someone else. A critical essay can be written about another essay, story, book, poem, movie or any art of work. So any written material that has been produced before, like any essay, any story, any book, any poem, any movie or any art of work, can be criticized in the critical essay. Examples of the critical essay are how Shakespeare presents the character Hamlet in his play Hamlet. So you would critically evaluate the character of Hamlet in Shakespeare's novel, Shakespeare's drama Hamlet carefully. The strengths and weaknesses of the movie Bowl. You must have seen this Pakistani movie Bowl. So you would try to find out, or you would try to critically evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of that very movie. The use of color in Monet's painting Sunflower. So if you have seen the painting of Monet's painting Sunflower, you can look for the strengths and weaknesses. So this is how you can critically evaluate any painting. This is how you can critically evaluate any story, any poem, any movie or any drama that you have read. The next essay type is evaluation type essay. Each day we face various facts and scenes, and to act adequately we need to develop our own assessment of them. Like we keep on giving our point of view to them, that this is right, this is wrong. So what exactly we are doing? We are critically evaluating them. We are giving our own argumentation, and we are giving our own evaluation on them. Writing an evaluation essay is a good way to size up a certain item, phenomenon, entity, or any other object. So you can target any phenomena, any entity, any item, or any object. Like for example, a vacation spot, a new restaurant, or an educational website that can be evaluated, since you are looking for all the facts and senses that would size up that why this is a good vacation spot. So you would critically evaluate that. Then you would look for a new restaurant, and you would evaluate whether it is good or bad. So basically what you are doing is that you are looking for the facts as to adequately develop your own assessment of things. The next essay type is reflective essay. In the reflective essay, you express your thoughts and emotions about certain events or phenomena. Writing this type of essay is good training to sharpen your critical thinking skills, as well as your ability to develop and express opinions on a particular topic. So basically, you express your thoughts and emotions about a particular phenomena or event in the reflective essay. So you are basically giving your reflection on the things that you have seen. Like for example, a trip to an exotic place. This can be one example, and a book that you have recently read can be another example of the reflective essay. The next essay type is analysis essay. An analysis essay assumes that you break a larger subject into the subcategories, then examine subcategory to form an opinion about the whole, and explain how each subcategory is interrelated, and come up with your own conclusions. So for analyzing something, you break down the larger subjects into the subcategories, and then you examine each subcategory to form your own opinion, and then you see that every subcategory is interrelated, and you come up with your own conclusion, and you try to analyze them. Like for example, you have this whole let's say carrot with you, and you cut it down into different pieces to see that each of the piece is good and fine. Now examples of the analysis essay are economic crisis and the rate of unemployment. The second example can be replacing school textbooks with the laptops. The next essay type is expository essay. They are the pieces of scholarly writing which describe or examine a process of some kind in comprehensive way. So this is a kind of a scholarly writing which kind of describes as well as examines a process of some kind, like analyzing a concept, describing and explore a written work or an event, explain detailed instructions and description of a method or a procedure. So these can be a different types. Examples are the influence of culture and environment on us, and the internet and the society. These can be the examples of the exposing something of, or trying to first of all describe it, and then examine it, and then expose the reality of it in front of the audiences. Now these are some common essay types that we have just discussed. There are some common methods of beginning the essay, which are coherence and coherence. Now the introduction and the conclusion, although are very important, are often relatively short. The bulk of an essay, both in the form and the substance, is contained in the main body. Now introduction is important, the conclusion is important, and how you are supposed to keep the coherence and coherence in it. Let's try to see that also. Now your introduction is intended to lead the reader into the topic and clarify that what the essay will specifically deal with. It usually consists of one paragraph. Now your introduction basically consists of one paragraph. The amount of the background information in the context required, so you provide the background information, the ample background information that is required in the context. Introduction will contain a key sentence, or if necessary more than one. So key sentence or keywords would be there to explain that what this essay is going to be all about. The main body will deal with the major ideas that support the statement. Each main idea is presented in a separate paragraph. So each main idea will be presented in a separate paragraph, developed with supporting ideas in the form of explanations. Now you try to explain them thoroughly, definitions or similar, and illustrated with examples where appropriate or necessary. So this is how you write down your main body parts, write down the main points, and then try to elaborate them one by one. Then you write down your conclusion, which brings the reader back to the purpose of the essay and draws all the points together before making a final comment on the result of the discussion. So this kind of, tries to paraphrase what is being said in the main body and the introduction, and that brings the reader to the conclusion, saying that the reader gets to find out that this is an end to the whole discussion. So now let's understand what coherence and coherence is. Ultimately, an essay will show a progression from a general level down to the specific and back up to the general level again. So this is what you call the general level is your introduction. You are talking about something that is general. You would come up with specific ideas, that is the statement and the body, and then again you would move on to the general level, that is your conclusion. The reader will be expecting this, so it gives your essay a sense of completion. In other words, the essay must have a coherence and coherence. So you are supposed to move in a flow. There should be a soothing flow that moves from the introduction to the conclusion. Now there should not be any kind of zigzags between them. Now let's try to understand what coherence and coherence means. Coherence means connecting your ideas together in a logical way depending on the types of essays you are writing. So coherence has something to do with connecting your ideas in a logical way. And coherence means that using pronouns, conjunctions and those transition words to tie the ideas into your essay together. So coherence actually means that your ideas are connected, or the ideas are related to each other, and coherence means that you are using such kind of words which tie your ideas together, like transition words, like pronouns, like conjunctions, and so on. Now let's quickly scratch an outline for your essay, as to make sure that you pick up a topic for writing down any good essay that you have liked out of the list that we have discussed now. Any comparison or contrast essay, any narrative essay, any argumentative essay, evaluative essay, or any other essay type that you have liked the most out of all the essay types that we had been discussing so far. So pick up your pen and copy, select a topic, and move with me as we are trying to scratch an outline for an essay. So let's quickly recap that what is an outline. The outline is basically a way of organizing the key ideas. Now what exactly you would do is to organize your key ideas, your key points, your main ideas on the piece of paper. An outline would help you set up an essay. So you must have this whole organized thing in front of you once you are done with making an outline. So this will help you see that in which sequence you are supposed to write things down on the piece of paper finally. An outline is a tool to help revise an essay. So you would help yourself revise things on an essay, that if you have missed out anything that was there in your outline, and you are supposed to add that into your essay. So what basically it is, an outline is a general plan. So the way you make the general plan of the material that is to be presented on the paper, the way you make the general plan that this is how this event would occur, making an outline is the same thing. The outline shows the order of the various topics, the relative importance of each, and relationship between the various subparts. So let's see that how exactly you are supposed to do that. Before doing that, let's quickly discuss that what are the types of outlines. There is one topic outline, and then there is one sentence outline. Topic outline basically carries the headings are given in the single words or brief phrases. So you have words and you have brief or shorter phrases in the topic outline. However, in the sentence outline, all the headings are expressed in the form of the complete sentences. So there are ways of writing through which or how you are comfortable. Some people, they are comfortable only writing down the words or phrases. Some people, they are comfortable writing down the complete sentences for their convenience. Now there are some rules of outlining. This is how basically an outline looks like. You subdivide topics by a system of numbers and letters followed by a period. Now as I said that you are supposed to write down your Roman numerals in one line. This is number 1 and this is number 2. Now for every Roman numeral you are supposed to give alphabet A and B. A and B. Now this Roman numeral is going to be your main point. And this again is going to be your main point. Now this A and B and A and B are going to be your subpoints. Subpoints. Now for every subpoints you have your numbering, which sometimes tries to describe them. and the description is being followed by sometimes examples. Now this is the whole structure of an outline, one main point being presented. Now each main point, as I said, that would be related to the main topic is one paragraph of your essay. So this is how you write down, and this is how you create good essays for your, this is how you create good outlines for your essays. Now there are some rules of outlining things that you are supposed to remember. Each heading and subheading must have at least 2 parts. Now each heading and subheading must at least have 2 parts, as we have seen in the previous slide as well. Headings for parts of the paper such as introduction and conclusion should not be used. Now for introduction and for conclusion you don't have to write down any outline. Be consistent. Do not mix up the 2 types of outlines. Use either whole sentences or brief phrases, but not the whole. You can either use the topic outline or you can either use the sentence outline, but do not mix them, but do not mix both of them, as to make sure that you develop your ideas on the same pattern that is going on. Now let's quickly see the examples of the sentence outline first. The topic of this outline is choices in college and after. This is your sentence outline that carries the complete sentences. The thesis statement says the decision I have to make in choosing college courses depend on the larger questions I am beginning to ask myself about my life's work. So this is going to be the thesis statement. Point or main point number 1 is that I have 2 decisions to make with respect to choosing college courses in immediate future. A point, the supporting idea is, one is whether to select a course in art, history or chemistry. For the details says, one time in my life I plan to be a chemical engineer professionally. Second point says, on the other hand, I enjoy art and plan to travel to see more of it. B, supporting details says the second decision is whether to continue a 3rd year of French beyond the basic college requirement, for which the 3 descriptions are given. French might be used both in engineering and traveling. Furthermore, I am eager to read good books which are written in French. How necessary are these considerations in light of other courses I might take instead? So this is what is your main point number 1. Your main point number 2 talks about my problem can be put in the form of a dilemma involving larger questions about my whole life. Point number A is, on the one hand, I want to hold a highly trained position in a money-making profession. The other dilemma is that on the other hand, I want to lead a certain kind of life with capacities of values not connected with making of money. So this is how you try to explain your main idea number 2. Your main idea number 3 is that I will have to make a decision balancing the conflicting needs I have described. A idea is I will hold open to professional responsibilities, possibilities by selecting chemistry. B option is that I will improve and solidify what cultural proficiency in another language I have already gained by electing French. So this is how you write down a complete sentence outline. The same outline is being presented in the form of a topic outline. The thesis statement is the same. The decisions I have to make in choosing college courses depend on the larger questions I am beginning to ask myself about my life's work. Now, the 3 points are being described in the form of the bullets and words. 2 decisions described, art, history and chemistry. For professional considerations and personal considerations. B point is the 3rd year of French. Practical advantages of knowing a foreign language, intellectual advantages, the issues of necessity. The point number 2 is the definitions of the problem, the decisions about occupation and the decisions about the kind of the life to lead. Temporary resolution of the problem, to hold open a professional possibility, that is chemistry, and to take advantage of the cultural gains already made, that is French. So how to make and use an essay outline? This is what we have learnt by looking at the 2 examples. An essay outline is probably the most important friend you will have while writing your essay. It is the skeleton of your ideas and it is a framework by which you will write a killer essay, and frankly it is difficult to write one without an outline. So for writing down any kind of the essay, it is really important that you understand that how to create one outline. And for creating outline, I have just discussed with you the 2 types of outlines. The one is sentence outline and the other one is topic outline. Now the kind of the outline that you are comfortable with, make sure that you make your whole this outline with the help of that very characteristics. Now if you are comfortable with writing complete sentences, stick to the sentence outline. If you are comfortable with only writing words and shorter phrases, stick to the topic outline. So this is how your outline would look like. This is how you would format that. These are all your body paragraphs. This is your thesis statement. The number of the body paragraphs would all be your main body. And the end would be your conclusion, and you reconfirm your thesis in your conclusion. An outline organizes the major parts of your essay. You have your thesis statement, you have your major points, you have your supporting details, you have transitions, and you have concluding thoughts. Your thesis statement is the sentence that tells your reader about your ultimate point and what they should expect from whatever you are going to write in the essay. Major points are the facts that you are using to prove your main point. Supporting details can be the examples, the facts, and quotations. Transitions are the statement of the information you will use to transition from one major point to the next. So these can be the transition words or the transition sentences which would connect one idea to the other. Then there are some concluding thoughts, any thoughts that you would like to include at the close of your paper to wrap things up and to tie it all together. Never include new facts or information in your conclusion. So you are not going to talk about anything new in your conclusion. Try to wrap up your thoughts thoroughly so that you can move to your conclusion smoothly. So it brings us to the end of today's lecture. Today's lecture was taken from that very link that I am showing you on the slide. We have thoroughly discussed the different essay types, and we have also discussed that how to create one good essay by following the outline structure. I hope that you must have learned a lot after listening to today's lecture, and I hope that you are going to pick up any one good type of essay to write down one good essay on. I wish you a very good day ahead, and I'll see you in the next class. Take very good care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.